Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It's your Wednesday night uncensored, unfiltered, and unafraid sports show. You still up? This episode of Buffalo After Dark starts now. Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is Wednesday night, June 21st. We're back this week after we had last week off. Of course, we got Tiny Hands Hansen here and Rob Hayes. How's it going, guys?
Doing well.
I'm good, but get fucked.
You know, I had to use that joke from Luffy a while back, so...
Yeah, I know, because Luffy brings it up to me all the time. Tiny ass hands.
Oh, man.
Like Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, exactly.
The only difference is Kenny Pickett is in the NFL, and I'm just an average guy.
Right. Well, same thing with Bryce Young, too, but we'll see what happens.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah. But we're back after last week, so it's nice to be back here. We've only got a few more episodes before the end of Season 3 here, so we're going to be going all the way through just like the first week of July, and then we're going to be taking the summer off and coming back in September. So, of course, if you've been to our page over the last maybe like half hour or so, we have the Season 4 trailer up, so definitely take a look at it. Show's going to get a new look, which is going to look pretty sweet. Of course, Hansen here has actually seen a little bit of it yet. Rob hasn't seen anything of it yet, but we think it'll look good, and hey, makes us look even better. So that being said, if you want to jump on 929-205-6099, we'll be here for the next hour, and we're going to start off with hockey. And the first thing we were going to talk about last week that we didn't get a chance to talk about is the Cup final, and Vegas said they were going to win it in their first 6 years. Here they are. They totally annihilated the Florida Panthers in that final game. It wasn't even brutal. Close.
Not at all.
Yeah, it was so bad that it was one of the lowest ranking Stanley Cup finals ever in the history of the league.
Since 2007.
Since 2007, which was what? Anaheim and Ottawa?
Yes.
Something like that, and that was not even worth watching.
No.
I don't even remember that one.
Close.
Well, the only thing I remember about that season was that the Sabres were expected to win the Cup, and the Senators just come in and just obliterate them in 5. And I think the ratings, if Buffalo was in the finals, I think would have been very different.
Yeah, but for Vegas to come out and win 9-3 to win the Cup.
Insane.
Florida, Where was your defense? You did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's getting so bad already that I've already heard a rumor that the Panthers, because Brandon Montour and Aaron Ekblad are both injured and they're expected to start they're at least expected to miss the start of the season, that they're going to be going out for a short-term elite defenseman. There was talks of Oliver Ekman-Larsson. There was talks of Erik Karlsson at some point lately. Even Brett Pesce was brought up. Noah Hanifin was brought up.
Yeah.
So the Florida Panthers are definitely going to be going for the blue line this offseason.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And actually, since you're talking about Noah Hanifin and Brett Pesce, let's talk about that. And we'll go into our second thing real quick, because there have been some rumors. Now, the Sabres are looking for a defenseman, and they're looking for someone that can be alongside Owen Power. And those two specific names have come up, Noah Hanifin and Brett Pesce.
Yeah, you want to go first, Rob?
Yeah, I feel they definitely need to bolster the blue line.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that was apparent. I also feel they need more depth. I feel that's what killed them.
Yeah, I agree with Rob. I mean, you have Matthias Sam, you have Rasmus Dahlin, you have Owen Power, but you don't have that fourth pairing defenseman to pair with Samuelsson. So they desperately need to address that at the blue line, and I'm very happy because Kevin Adams has pretty much confirmed that they're going to be on every goalie and they're going to be on every defenseman in the trade market. Because let's be honest with ourselves here, this year's free agency class fucking sucks. There's literally
bad.
There's like hardly anyone notable out.
Like, who's the only noticeable one out there? Like, what? Patrick Kane, and he's like geriatric. He's like 35 years old, and
right.
he's gonna.
And the amount of money he's going to want is absolutely insane.
Watch the Sabres overpay the crap out of him.
Oh, God. Knowing that, it wouldn't surprise me to bring him home since he lives here, but at the same time, it's like his production has gone down. He hasn't done anything with the Blackhawks in 2 years, and he did absolutely nothing with the Rangers in that trade. So it's like, why overpay for a veteran who really doesn't have much in the tank anymore? It just makes no sense.
Not at all. It's not worth the risk.
No, and it's not. And the fact is, too, is Patrick Kane is also proven at his age where he is now, he's proven to be an injury-riddled head case. Not a head case, but he's always hurt. That's the issue with Patrick Kane. And the other thing, too, is that he was so on forward about where he wanted to be traded back in February, where he said, I only want to go to the New York Rangers. He made it much harder for teams to trade for him because he said no to Toronto, he said no to Edmonton, and he only said, I want to play for the New York Rangers. And sure enough, he goes to the New York Rangers and does absolutely nothing. Hell, I forgot about Vladimir Tarasenko. He's on the goddamn Rangers, and he's a pending UFA in a couple of weeks.
And what has he done for them?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I would rather pay for Vladimir Tarasenko, give him maybe 4 years max for around maybe $6.5 million at minimum for Vladimir Tarasenko. If I'm the Sabres and they're looking for depth scoring, I would totally do that. I would not be against that idea at all. But I would be against the idea of getting Patrick Kane based on the hip surgery that he just got.
Yeah, and we've seen what hip surgeries can do. Look at UPL. He's not anywhere close to what he was prior.
Yeah. Once you have that hip injury, it's done. In the NHL, at least. You're done.
Yeah, there's no recovering from that.
No. I mean, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is on his way out because Kevin Adams also said, we're going to be traded for a goalie because James Reimer already told the Sharks to fuck off. So I
don't blame him.
Right. And Gibson wants out, so I mean, he's available.
Hellebuyck wants out, but he wants Vasilevsky money, so good luck with that.
I know somebody.
$9.5 million?
Yeah, and perfect timing, Rob, because that was a big thing that came out where Hellebuyck wants to go to the Devils.
Yay!
All right, I want to ask Rob this question. How do you personally feel, as a Devils fan, how would you feel if Connor Hellebuyck said, yes, I want to spend the rest of my career in New Jersey?
Oh, I'd be thrilled. It's not often you see a goalie of his caliber want to come to a team like the Devils, let alone even make it to free agency.
Well, here's the issue. You're going to have to pay him almost $10 million. I mean, if you haven't learned anything about the goaltending market in the last 5 years or so, Sergei Bobrovsky.
And he's, 30, I think?
Who, Hellebuyck?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's 32.
Oh, geez, even worse.
Well, let me actually find that out for you. I know for a fact Connor Hellebuyck wants to be paid, and he rightfully deserves to get paid. But you know what? How about this? How about the Buffalo Sabres? They could trade for Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, hell...
Yep, he's 30.
Yeah, he's going to be 31 this year. Yeah, he's 30 years old. Fuck. And he's going to be 31 by next year. Jesus Christ.
Well, but if we learned anything, you need a really good goalie in order to make a cup run.
Yeah, and the Sabres have a ton of cap money available for them, too.
Well, they also spent it on depth pieces like Zemgus, Girgensons. They're going to try to re-sign Tyson Jost. They brought back Lukas Rusek. Mm-hmm. They brought back some key pieces the Sabres could desperately use. But what about the Devils? I mean, the Devils also have money that they got to work with. I mean, they just extended Jesper Bratt, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, how much was that contract? 8 years, how much?
Double checking on that. $7.875 million.
That's cheap.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get more than Hughes, honestly, but I'm glad he didn't.
Closer to 9.
Yeah, me too. I was worried. I said, how the hell are we going to sign him and Timo Meier?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that, because I understand that the Devils gave up a ransom to get Timo Meier, and I don't personally blame them for that. But when you're in a situation where the Devils are now, they have a little cap, they can definitely get Connor Hellebuyck. And honestly, I would not be surprised if the Devils get Hellebuyck. I think that's a perfect fit for him, honestly, because he fits within with the Devils scheme. They're going to be a very good team for years to come, and that would easily put Mackenzie Blackwood out of a job. Let's be honest.
Which
He's a free agent anyway. I doubt they even give him a qualifying offer.
Are you sure he's not a free agent next year?
Yeah, it's this year.
Oh, God. Have fun, Mac.
Schmid, though, is a free agent next year.
Okay.
Yeah, Kira Schmid, Vitek Vanacek, and then potentially adding Connor Hellebuyck. I feel like the Devils, though, if they were to get Hellebuyck, I think they're going to have to part ways with one of their top-tier goalies.
Yeah, because I don't know if you can really send back Schmid to the AHL at this point.
And based on how he played in the playoffs, I honestly don't blame them. The Devils are in a very tough situation.
Yeah. I mean, the Devils have the talent. The goaltending is what killed them in the end. Is
Defense.
really what happened, along with their defense.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very tough with how things will play out, but I assure you, we've seen crazier shit in free agency. I mean, we've seen crazier shit in the draft. I mean, look what happened last year. Montreal was on some serious drugs when they traded Alex Romanoff to the freaking Islanders. You know, granted, as an Islander fan, I'm happy that...
Oh, right, you're getting a great player from Montreal for that.
Yeah, for real.
But it's like, Montreal, what were you... It's like, here's my theory. Luffy sent him some, like, really laced weed or something like that, and then they probably smoked it in order to make that trade happen. And then the Islanders benefited, and Montreal's like, what the fuck did we do?
Like, as an Islander fan, I really like the Romanoff trade. Because when the trade first got announced, I thought Lou was out of his fucking mind. And then when Gary Bettman said, okay, it's a 3-team trade, I said, oh, God, here we go. Who is it? And then when I heard them say Alex Romanoff to the Islanders, I said, what did they give up? And it was the 13th pick. And then they flipped it to Chicago to get Kirby friggin' Doc. And I said, wow, Montreal must be that desperate to get some sort of help. Because you just traded for a potential bust who's still young, but I don't know. I mean, his relationship with the Hawks was broken. I don't know how he's going to do that again in Montreal. I just don't know. And I know it's already been a full year, but it's like, I don't know. I really don't know. The Canadiens are just becoming a team that's just full of surprises.
Yeah, true story.
Mm-hmm.
True story. But, I mean, the Islanders benefited, so, hey, it's all good. And Montreal's just going to sell out anyways, and they'll just keep on their years of mediocrity here.
Well, I mean, again, Kent Hughes is really pulling the strings, so he may very well go for it, a Hail Mary, and potentially trade up into the top 3, because apparently there's a rumor going around that if the Canadiens were to somehow trade up into the top 3, because they were saying that San Jose could be the trade partner for Montreal, and they're saying that if the Canadiens were to trade up, there's a very good chance that they may take Matvei Michkov out of Russia with the 4th overall pick.
Yep, that's the rumors I've been hearing as well.
I've also heard that he's pulling a Jaromir Jagr, where he's refusing to meet with a handful of teams, and he may fall to a specific team at, like, outside of the top 5.
Washington, question mark?
That would not shock me. That would not shock me. But I think if he falls out of the 8th overall spot, Buffalo should definitely trade up.
I would. I definitely would.
Yeah, get good talent out of it. I mean, it's only going to help the Sabres make even more inroads. I mean, they were right there last season, so only time will tell. But going back to one point that you mentioned earlier, so the Sabres ended up re-signing Zemgus Girgensons just the other day, and pretty cap-friendly deal. It's 1 year, $2.5 million, and I will say, I honestly thought he would have been gone a long time ago, but he's actually adapted to what the situations have been, and he's been typically on the 3rd and 4th line, but he makes the most out of his minutes. The guys look up to him in the locker room, so it's not a bad veteran presence to have, especially when he's stuck it out, and he's done what every single coach, including the fucknut Ralph Kruger, wanted.
Dude, fuck Ralph Kruger, the worst fucking coach the team has ever had.
I know, right?
Yeah, you know what's really funny? I was very high on Ralph Kruger when they hired him at the time.
Same here.
I was very high on his resume with him coaching Southampton and then coaching Edmonton with like Taylor Hall. That was the only reason why they brought him in to begin with, and that completely backfired. And then Jeff Skinner got treated like shit. And then once Kruger left, it just completely turned back to his old self, that was what the Sabres were paying for him at the time.
Right. Exactly. The list of failed coaches for the Sabres. Oh, my God.
He's such a beta. Like, Ralph Kruger is such a beta male. I mean, I can't even get over that.
Oh. And to think that he's a downgrade from Bielsa, who already was brutal when he was here.
People thought Bielsa was bad. Yeah, try Ralph Kruger.
Yeah.
And and the funny thing is, Ralph Kruger is that one coach that nobody gave a fuck about, that nobody respected the Sabres. Because I think at the time, if I remember correctly, who was on that cycle in 2019? Does anybody remember?
I'd have to look back.
Well, either way, it was a disaster.
Yeah, and then of course it didn't get much better after that with Phil Housley being brought in.
Well, Phil Housley was there before Kruger, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, even still, it didn't go well either way.
I wanted the Rangers to hire John Hines so bad.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
Yeah. And
Damn
then, of course, they bring in Peter Laviolette. Michael Peca becomes the assistant coach. So it's like, fuck. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Oh, you guys are going to like Peca down there, I'll tell you that.
Well, believe me, I know this for a fact because he was an Islander. So I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But what I don't appreciate is him going to the fucking Rangers and becoming an assistant coach. That is the part I don't appreciate. Because you know who else pulled this shit? Brian Trottier. Brian Trottier pulled this crap 20-plus years ago because he's an Islander legend, and then he becomes the Rangers head coach for like 10 games, and then he gets fired.
Yep.
And that was when the Rangers were like horrendous.
Right. Well, hey, you guys got to enjoy Torts for a while down there. At least you got some entertainment out of that.
True.
At least Torts was a good coach. That's the only difference.
Yeah, that too. That too. But,
that's the only difference about Torts is that he was actually a good coach.
Right.
Ask Philly fans about him.
I know.
That whole organization's a dumpster fire.
They can't handle the truth.
No, they can't.
Yeah,
just like South Park, the Sword of 1,000 Truths with 80+ meta damage.
Oh, God.
120 Mandabar, or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, somehow. Fuck.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, Philly could not handle the Sword of 1,000 Truths.
No, they could not.
And neither could Columbus.
What's even dumber is they traded a first-round pick 2 years ago for Rasmus Mr. fucking Linen.
Oh, God,
I forgot about that.
Remember when we looked up his plus-minus for his career and it's absolutely horrific?
Thank God. And Philly thought that was a brilliant idea to trade a first round for Rasmus Mr. freaking Linen.
Did they also get, what's his name, Ryan Ellis?
Oh, God.
And then he hasn't really played.
No, and Risto has been
Poor
awful.
guy.
Yeah.
And not to mention the Flyers paid him $5.5 million for 4 more seasons.
Yep.
It's like, Philly, what are you doing? Yeah, so guess what his plus-minus is now after this past season?
I was just checking that.
Let me guess, it's like negative 63.
Oh, way worse than that, dude. Way worse. So his entire career, and this includes the 2022-23 season, so he was a -4 for the season, but in his career, -176.
Oh, man.
There's a Flyers somehow paid.
So get this. He's played 682 games. He's had 51 goals, 230 assists, 281 penalty minutes. 281 points, 361 penalty minutes. And he's a -176.
God, that's horrendous. That's horrendous.
That's like one of the worst in like modern times.
For real.
Jesus Christ. How does one resolve themselves around that?
They don't.
Yeah, you just don't.
It's called retirement.
He should have just went to unemployment land. But no, fucking Philly had to be relevant by trading a first rounder for Rasmus Linen and then turn it into a bag of beans.
It's like, what do you think? Him growing a freaking ginger goatee is gonna make it all better?
God, I don't even know anymore.
I mean, God, -176. I mean, like, how is it that you even get to that point?
I don't even know how that even came about. But you know what, though? the next team that's going to pull off a major fuck up is going to be the Calgary Flames. That's going to be a major fuck up.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. You see the writings on the wall for that one,
right? And if we and the thing is, I was going to say too, I thought Tyler Myers was bad. He's not even close to as bad. He's only a -7 for his career.
Well, that's not too terrible. At least.
No, and that was after he had a -16 season in 22-23.
I never liked Tyler Myers to begin with.
I didn't either. He's just a damn pylon, basically.
He was great in his first year, and then he just kind of went downhill.
Yeah, well, he had that broken leg, but even still, I mean, he never got back to playing the way he should, and he is just way too soft.
Yeah.
I will give at least Risto's not afraid to hit people, but good lord, -176, dude, what the hell are you doing?
A lot. As in the title, it's always shitty in Philadelphia.
Yeah, either that or he's banging his shrooms or something.
He's eating something that he should not be eating.
Right,
and yet,
or getting some prostitute off the corner and market in Philly or something. I don't know.
Who the hell knows?
Gas station cheesesteaks.
Oh God, yeah. With with the cheese whiz and the onions mixed in, and it's probably giving them diarrhea or some weird
Yep,
thing.
there you go.
Leaving a nice little skid mark on the ice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, for the bad mental picture, but we do put that disclaimer at the beginning of every show, so...
Don't say we didn't warn you.
Exactly.
Right. But before we get into a couple other things, of course, if you want to jump in and join us, 92920560099. We actually weren't originally going to talk about this, but we're going to talk about it anyways. The Hall of Fame, and basically, we do know Henrik Lundqvist is going to go in, but the NHL Hall of Fame has decided that Alex Mogilny is getting the snub, as well as any Russian player.
Unbelievable. So for those who missed who the nominees were for the 2023 Hall of Fame, Henrik Lundqvist, as Tom just said, you have Pierre Turgeon, Mike Vernon, you have Carolyn Ouellette, Tom Barrasso, Ken Hitchcock, and Pierre Lacroix.
Right. And still, it's
a lot of goalies.
Yeah. And for Alex Mogilny to still not be in there after the career he had, I mean, God, I think the one season with the Sabres, he had he had 76 goals or something in a single season. And it's for him to be one of the first Russian players to defect over from the USSR at the time. I mean, there were people that wanted to kill him for doing it, but he was one of the very first out of that country that came over, and he paved the way for a lot of international players. It's how do you not put Mogilny in the Hall at this point?
That alone should have gotten him in there,
exactly.
Honestly.
And his play on the ice, absolutely.
100%.
And he's a Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I had a chance to see him play in person here in Buffalo, and he was something else with what he could do, especially him and LaFontaine at the time. Oh my God, them two were perfect line mates.
Yeah, I will say that. So let's go over every individual Hall of Fame nominee. Let's start with Henrik Lundqvist, because I think this is the one that got nominated first. So that's an indication he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well deserved. He had a hell of a career.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but yeah.
As much as I hate the Rangers, he absolutely got them some cups, and he deserves to be in. Great goaltender.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And you know what? Coming from me, I mean, Rob as well, but for us too, being in the tri-state area and then having the privilege to watch Henrik Lundqvist a hell of a lot more than we normally would expect. Mm-hmm. Hank was a great goalie, not only as a great goalie, but he was a great human being on and off the ice. And he he did a lot of work for the Garden of Dreams Foundation. He did a lot of great charity work too, and he has his own podcast now. He's going to be going to the Hall of Fame, and he's now got a career as an analyst on TNT, which I think is not that bad of a thing, because I think he actually looks good as an analyst. Mm-hmm. But then as an athlete as a whole, Henrik Lundqvist was something else, man. He was pretty much, to a Ranger fan, he was their version of Marty Brodeur.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Yeah, I remember when the Sabres were playing them in the playoffs one year, and I'm like, oh my God, just to even attempt to beat him and to actually be able to beat him in a round, I was like, okay, that was a tough series, but I'll tell you, he absolutely 100%, he deserves it.
I mean, as much as I hate the Rangers, Henrik Lundqvist at that time was my favorite player on the team. I'm not gonna lie. I always I always had my respect for Henrik Lundqvist, just for the fact of how good he was.
Yeah, and I would say he's hands down one of their, I would say, top 3 goalies of all time on that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault they couldn't win the cup or anything. He did all he could and then some.
Oh, yeah. He had the team on his shoulders.
I do think, though, if there was a Mount Rushmore for every Rangers goalie to be in the Hall of Fame, I would say in that Mount Rushmore it would be like Mike Richter, Henrik Lundqvist, Eddie Jockman, and then John Davidson I'm going to throw in as an honorable mention. And then I would throw in, who was the other one? Help me out here, guys. What's his name? Not Richter. Van Beesbrook. That's who it was.
Yeah, there you go.
That's who it was. John Van Beesbrook. Those who would be my Mount Rushmore of Rangers goalies.
That's a good list.
Yeah, Hank is definitely on that list for sure.
Yeah.
So, kudos to him. I wish him all the best. And good luck in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So, Henrik Lundqvist, gone. Pierre Turgeon. This is an interesting one because he's been talked about as a guy that should have been in the Hall of Fame a few years ago, and he's finally in the Hall of Fame.
Great player during this time, and I mean, same thing. I got to watch him as a kid when he was on the Sabres, and he was a great defenseman. Yeah,
but I got to watch him a lot of times when he was with the Blues in his later years. But my dad used to always tell me stories about Pierre Turgeon as a kid when he played for the Islanders. So I wasn't alive when Pierre Turgeon was there, but my dad used to tell me stories about Pierre Turgeon a lot, saying he was the guy that scored the game-winning goal, and obviously he was most notorious from getting hit in the behind by Dale Hunter. No disrespect, but that was what he was famous for. Not that it was Pierre Turgeon's fault by any means, but it was more of just that Dale Hunter's a piece of shit. So,
yeah.
And he says, I lost respect for that organization and that player. Shut the fuck up, Dale.
Yeah, but no, Turgeon could definitely shut down opponents anytime he wanted to, and he made it look so easy when he was doing that. But the fun thing about him, he also could be a very offensive-minded defenseman, and he had no problem getting the puck up the ice, and he had no problem scoring when he wanted to. So he could really control the game any which way he wanted to. And during his time here with the Sabres, I mean, he made for a great pairing over here. So definitely, I think should he have gone in a little bit sooner? I think so, maybe a couple years ago. But at the same time, I mean, good to see him finally get the nod.
Without a doubt. The other one is Mike Vernon. Now, this was an interesting one to me. Because when it was first revealed that it was between Mike Vernon and Tom Barrasso and Henrik Lundqvist, I said Mike Vernon to me was the one that I think that stood out because that guy is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. He's a Conn Smythe winner and etc. But here's the thing: I never viewed Mike Vernon as a Hall of Famer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, I just me personally, I think there's other players that were more deserving. Quite honestly.
Well, I think Curtis Joseph is definitely.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you should be.
It beat me to it.
Cujo should have been in the Hall of Fame a few years ago, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, but no, I'm happy for Mike Vernon. I'm glad though that he is going to finally get a chance to go to the Hall of Fame, and his resume speaks for itself. But it's not legendary by any means because whenever somebody brings up any team, whether it was the Calgary Flames or the Detroit Red Wings when he won those cups, Mike Vernon is the very last bit of a discussion as to why they were there to begin with, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I'm going to skip Carolyn Roulette because I don't really have an opinion on her because I never really watched her growing up, so I'm going to skip her for now.
Okay.
Tom Barrasso. Why? Why is Tom Barrasso, of all people, in the Hall of Fame?
If it was a U.S. Hall of Fame, sure, but...
Right.
Yeah. I agree. If it was the U.S. Hall of Fame, I'd say, yeah, he definitely deserved it. But why is Tom Barrasso, the guy who was a fucking passenger for their 2 Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh in 1991 and 92, why is this guy even nominated in the Hall of Fame? Why? Because he's the first American to ever win 300 games in the NHL? Or he's the all-time leader in assists? Well, congratulations, Tom. You fucking did it. You made the Hall of Fame for being on a mediocre team for the rest of your career.
Good job.
Hey, just like Chris Jericho in wrestling would say, you just made the list.
Yup. I mean, sure, he wanted Calder, a Vesna, and a Jennings, and the Cups, but still.
Yeah. I would say there's other players that I would put over Barrasso.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not saying Barrasso was a terrible player. I think he was
No,
great.
he wasn't horrible by any means, but I don't think he should be going in right now, if he was to go in.
I don't think he should be going in ever. And somehow he's getting put in the Hall of Fame over Alexander Mogilny, or Henrik Zetterberg, or Jeremy Roenick, or Keith Tkachuk.
Well, those names all right there, I would put ahead of Barrasso, honestly.
Sam,
They've all done way more.
Patrick Elias.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Not me being biased, but
No, you're not wrong about that. Patrick Elias,
he deserves to go in.
Yeah.
I think it's only in the second year, but he'll get there eventually, I feel.
At some point, Patrick Elias will definitely go to the Hall of Fame. If Jerome McGinley can make the Hall of Fame,
True.
Yeah.
True.
Good point.
That is a very good point.
I'm just throwing that out there. So,
You're not wrong.
Ken Hitchcock. Yeah, he's a good coach, but is he Hall of Fame material? I'm going to say no. I know he's been around for a long time, but it's like, I don't know if I would, if he won like 3 Stanley Cups, like a Scotty Bowman or like a Joe Quenneville, I would definitely say, yeah, he definitely deserves to go to the Hall of Fame. But what has Ken Hitchcock really done after the 1999 finals? What has he done?
I mean, he hasn't stood out in that time since. He really hasn't.
I feel like he's been fired more times in his career than he has more Stanley Cups.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's see. He got fired by St. Louis. I mean, that was a big-time thing that happened.
And he got fired by Edmonton. He got fired by Dallas twice.
Yep.
So I'm not really sure why Ken Hitchcock is even being brought up. Like, he's a good coach. I would take him over.
I would never discount that from him. But I would say questionable pick for the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in favor of Ken Hitchcock. Same with Tom Barrasso. I don't know why Tom Barrasso was even brought up to begin with. But then again, you never know with these things. Because the Hall of Fame is just a fucking mishmash of players they can think of from, like, the last, like, half century.
Might as well call it the Hall of Good Enough.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yep. And the last one is the late Pierre Lacroix, the ex-GM of the Colorado Avalanche, the 2-time Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Who unfortunately died in 2020 due to COVID-19, which is unfortunate because he was a great general manager for Colorado.
Oh, absolutely. Well-deserved.
Yeah. He absolutely should get the nod. And he is getting the nod, so that's good.
But you know what? In his resume, he traded for Patrick Waugh. He traded for Peter Forsberg. He drafted Joe Sakic. He drafted Adam Foote. He traded for Ray Bourque. He traded for Rob Blake. Pierre Lacroix was a great general manager for Colorado.
Yeah, that was a super team when he built that. I mean, they were dominant for years.
They were so good back then. I mean, they won 2 Stanley Cups under his name. Mm-hmm. So I think that alone makes it accessible for Pierre Lacroix to be on the list.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. He deserves to be in there. He definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I would say even back at the time too, Adam Foote was another one that was over there.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Though.
Yeah, but is there any players you guys can think of that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, or would you remove from this list?
I would say Barrasso doesn't go in now if I had the opportunity to do it. I would put Cujo over Barrasso because Cujo's done way more. I would definitely say McGillney goes in, and I wouldn't even think twice about that.
No, not at all. I agree.
Yeah, for me, I think I would take out Barrasso and I put Cujo in there, and then who was the other one again? Not Pierre Turgeon, as he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Was it Vernon?
Yeah, I would take out Mike Vernon. I know that's a stretch because I think I like Mike Vernon, but he's not Hall of Fame material. I would put in Henrik Zetterberg over Mike Vernon. I'm just being honest.
It's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was between him or Patrick Elias. One of the two, in my opinion, was going to go to the Hall of Fame. But I think at some point, both of those players will go. Both Patrick Elias and Henrik Zetterberg. I think both of them will eventually get into the Hall of Fame within at least the next 3 or 4 years.
I hope so.
Yeah, I don't think it's far-fetched to think that. So.
Yeah, I would be genuinely shocked if neither one goes.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Ditto.
And then what we'll do, we'll wrap up the hockey part of our show tonight with the 11-day power play. So, of course, this is back in Buffalo. It started earlier today. And it's originally the intent of it was to raise money for Roswell Park, the cancer center. And ever since that time, it's become a yearly tradition where they go continual for 11 days, and they play 24/7 for 11 days. So the good thing is with the 11-day power play, it's raised millions of dollars for Roswell. It's also they donate to the New Oshai Children's Hospital now as well. So both hospitals do get money out of it, and it's grown to have a huge number of teams involved. And I think Justin Eric, who's been on the show before, I think he's in it again this year too. So I'll have to ask him if he is. But good cause, great to see people coming together for it, and I know a few people that are playing in it this year. So it's just a good cause, a great thing to see here again.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a great cause, and I watched the documentary about the 11-day power play, and they raise a lot of money. Shout out to Justin Eric for doing the fundraiser every year, and he gets a lot of people within that community involved. Yeah. I think he's gotten some former NHL players to actually come over and help him donate money and commit to charity work.
Yeah, absolutely. So great cause. I know, Justin, you check us out periodically too. If you want to come on and tell us how the power play went this year, let us know. We'll get you on. And but no, great cause to see, and good to see everyone coming together for it. So with that, it's kind of interesting. We already had that quick half hour. So what we'll do is we're going to come up with part 2. We're going to talk about football the rest of the way. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Except the only thing I'm doing tonight is eating this fucking thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see what yours is like.
Okay. I can smell it twice. I can smell it coming through.
So I will tell you.
Milk would also work.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me.
Or maybe like a bottle of Pepto afterwards.
That too, yes.
There it is, boys.
Go, man.
This is lamb, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, mine's chicken.
Nice.
Right, ready?
Yep.
Bottoms up. Cheers.
Bottoms up, man.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
What do you think so
Holy
far?
fuck. Holy fuck.
They make yours like extra hot or something?
Holy
Is he already turning red?
Holy shit, your face is like purple.
Yeah.
So of course, we got Luffy in the house, and then we got Tiny Hands Bobby over here. How's it going?
That's what I'm doing. I'm good in general, though. How are you?
Hey, doing good. And apparently you having tiny hands got at least 32% of the vote combined on that question about D-Hop that we'll talk about later.
I knew my poll option was good.
Hey, Luffy, you got the Shatter Pen tonight, or are you smoking hardcore weed tonight?
I got...
or the dabs.
I got a distillate pen tonight. I'm taking it easy tonight. I had a rough day at work. It was really fucking hot. I'm trying to keep her PG. The fucking Jets of all teams that you want to see him on.
And let's talk about the Washington Commanders fiasco.
Oh,
fucking shit.
God. Apparently someone else already has the trademark of Washington Commanders.
Nice.
Some business person in the DC area has it.
Of course.
It's so fitting.
That was about. That's legit what that was.
The second conflict was due to a DC area man who previously filed trademarks trying to guess the team's new name, so he decided to trademark his guesses.
Holy fuck!
What a smart guy! Oh man!
So, well, then again, I mean, hell, Family Guy made a parody out of Cleveland Browns because one of their main characters was Cleveland Brown. They even had the Cleveland show for a while.
It was a good parody because they like to rip everybody a new asshole. Which
Yep.
Wait a minute. Remember that South Park episode where Cartman and the gang literally buys the Washington Redskins logo and they said a bunch of like,
Oh god. That of course. Remember when they had the thing about the Sword of a Thousand Truths?
Oh yeah!
Yeah.
Has anybody else noticed how Bryce Young looks like a kindergartner playing with high school students?
Yes, he does. Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It's your Wednesday night uncensored, unfiltered, and unafraid sports show. You still up? This episode of Buffalo After Dark starts now. Welcome back to part 2 of Buffalo After Dark. If you want to jump on the show, we have the Facebook chat up and running. And of course, you can dial 929-205-6099. And Bobby here has a nice little souvenir from a Mets game earlier this week at Citi Field.
yeah, so for those who don't know, I made a vlog on Saturday for the Mets game I went to. It was my first game in 3 years. And I caught this ball at Citi Field by complete accident. So what happened is that I was just hanging out at Citi Field. I was in the lower section. And one of my good friends is one of the ushers at Citi Field, so he let me go down. So I'm down there with my gloves. So I'm like, okay, maybe I might get lucky today. So I brought my glove with me. It's not with me now, but it's my car. But I brought my glove with me at the time. And I go into Citi Field, and I'm just relaxing. And I'm watching the Cardinals, warm up, take swings or whatever. And all of a sudden, I see a ball coming towards my direction. And I hear a whistle, bang, which was the ricochet of the metal bar. And it falls into my hand. And I caught this ball. So if you could see it, I don't know if you can, there's a bunch of marks all around the ball from the bat. So I caught that, and I'm keeping it as a collector's item. So this to me is a free souvenir. So it is what it is. I'm keeping this for sure. And this was my first ever fly ball I've ever caught at a Major League Baseball game.
Oh yeah, no doubt I would keep that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I'm not giving this away. Unless it was like Derek Jeter's 3,000th hit. Remember that debacle, Rob, with the whole...
Yep.
You ever hear that story all the time about Derek Jeter's 3,000th hit?
Well, I remember it happened, but I don't remember the story of it.
All right, so to give you a brief story, was when Derek Jeter, at the time, when he was playing for the Yankees, this is like when in like the last 3 years of playing baseball, Derek Jeter hit his 3,000th hit at Yankee Stadium. I think they were playing the Rays, if I remember correctly. And Derek Jeter hit that hit. It was his 3,000th hit. And the person who caught the ball kept it, and the Yankees tried to buy the ball from the guy, and they tried to offer him season tickets. They tried to offer him, like, I guess, like different jerseys and different types of memorabilia, because the Yankees were very desperate for that ball. Mm-hmm. So then afterwards, the guy concedes and says, all right, I want $2.5 million for the ball.
Ooh,
and,
there you go.
Yeah. And the Yankees, being the Yankees, they said, fine. So they give the guy $2.5 million, and he's just living his life now. And now the Yankees have Derek Jeter's 3,000th hit ball.
Shit, I would have pushed for at least 3.
Let's
make it an even number.
Milk as much as you can.
And the funny thing is not only were they willing to pay him, they were also giving him an offer for season tickets for the Yankees, and they were willing to give him luxury suites all season just to watch the games. And on top of all that, to meet the players and all that stuff, get like a signed baseball signed by the team at the time. So, no, baseball, when it comes to that, there's a lot of weird stories. So, Derek Jeter's 3,000 hit was one of those stories that just became fucking chaos. And the same thing happened, I think, with Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this. Do you remember that story too, Tom?
Well, I remember that story more than the Derek Jeter story, but
Yeah, the Derek Jeter story was very interesting, but the Aaron Judge one was a fucking massacre. 'Cause I think allegedly the person's kid who had the ball for Aaron Judge takes the. I think she was like 3 or 4 years old, and she throws it back into the outfield. I'm like, no, keep the ball or something like that.
right. It's like, why would you not want to keep it?
Maybe she didn't know better, but who knows?
Could be.
Who knows? But it was just a funny story how this is.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh my god. The Rangers just hired Phil Housley as an assistant coach.
Wow.
Yeah. Breaking news. Phil Housley. So it's not one, but 2 ex-Buffalo Sabres pairing up with Peter Laviolette's assistant coaching staff.
And then here in Jersey, we have an ex-Canucks coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fine with it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go with the football stuff. So I definitely want
Good old
Yeah.
Jack Jones on the wrong side of the law because he got arrested. The Patriots are really pissed off at him, and he only had to post He only had to post at least $30,000 to be able to bail out on gun charges.
Yep, so Jack Jones was arrested on Friday. Yep, it was Friday. After trying to bring in 2 firearms on a plane, according to Lindsay Thorpe. His charges include possession of a concealed weapon in a secure area of an airport, possession of ammunition without a firearm identification card or an ID, an unlawful possession of a large capacity beating device. Wow. And
Dumbass.
And yeah, really. And here's the ironic part about all this. Back in May, on the 15th of May this year, Jack Jones tweets to John Moran, who did a similar incident, but except he was waving the gun like an idiot. Jack Jones Jack Jones said this to him, quote, "Dumb, you letting social media and your pride ruin your money. Dumb, you letting social media and your pride ruin your real money. Put them guns down and run that money up. Make one of your homies sign up for security or concealed carry if you feel like you need it that bad. But you, the breadwinner, and you got to start acting like it." Funny how that's the case, because you really should take your own advice.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and John Morant's serving a 25-game suspension for gun charges, so...
Which is like nothing.
Yeah, seriously.
What a slap on the wrist. No, but seriously, Jack Jones is a fucking moron.
Yeah, and he's lucky the Patriots didn't cut him because they had every intention of doing that afterwards. And somehow he survived that.
I don't know how, but...
Me either.
Is he about what's going on with Tyreek Hill, of all people?
Oh, God.
Yep. I had a feeling we'd bring this up.
Yeah, apparently Tyreek Hill is being investigated by the Floridian police for apparently assaulting a man by slapping him in the back of the head.
Tyreek, you just signed that big contract a couple seasons ago. Why?
What are you doing?
Tyreek has no respect for the authority or for women, period, because of him saying, "You need to respect me. I'm Tyreek Hill."
Oh, he's pulling a Cartman. Respect my authority.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God. No, Tyreek Hill's a fucking moron. Great receiver, but he's a dumb motherfucker.
Yeah. True story. Yeah, well, Tyreek, nobody respects your authority, so go fuck off.
Yeah, really.
But,
I think he said that to his girlfriend at the time.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, Stefan. Yeah, good old Stefan Diggs. So there's been so many different directions that this story has been going. Part of it is that he wants more say in the offense. Part of why Stefan Diggs supposedly was pissed off at the team is because of Ken Dorsey, which I don't blame him if that's the case. Other people have said he wants to leave Buffalo and go play somewhere else. Well, one, that ain't happening because of the salary cap, and two, I understand if he's mad at Dorsey because Dorsey was an idiot last season and didn't utilize him.
And three, he signed him to a massive extension. And plus, if the Bills were to cut him by any means or
they're
trade,
screwed.
they're screwed long term if they do that. Which
Screwed
definitely
in terms of losing good player and screwed with dead money.
Yeah, and people think that McDermott, another rumor I've heard, is Coach McDermott is losing the locker room with the coaching staff. Because look what happened with Leslie Frazier. Look what happened with Chad Hall. And then they bring in Eric Washington to promote him as the assistant coach to McDermott to be the scapegoat. And then it's just like, oh, there's a feud between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs because apparently Josh Allen has this love affair with Ken Dorsey and Stephon Diggs hates the guy. So it's like there's a lot of talk about saying, oh, Diggs wants out of Buffalo. I'm like, that's not going to happen. It's just spewed bullshit and speculation that's just thrown around.
Yeah, everyone wants to start something. We all know how that goes.
Yep.
And Diggs himself has said he enjoys it here. Now, he didn't like playing in Minnesota, which I don't blame him. The Vikings weren't doing anything with him. But, I mean, here, he has opportunity. It's just Dorsey has to learn how to run an offense better. And he has to be able to throw to his number one wide receiver. I mean, when you're throwing to a tight end more than a wide receiver, that says something.
Yeah. So I have a question for you three, or two in this case. Do you think that there is an ego being brewed in the Buffalo locker room, whether it's Stephon Diggs, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Sean McDermott, whether it's whoever is within the organization, period? Do you guys think there's some organizational, dysfunction with ego in the room? Because I feel like there is.
I would say Dorsey's probably going to be the most ego out of all of them.
Yeah, what do you think?
Honestly.
Yeah, I definitely feel there's just something going on in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Diggs for wanting to win. I mean, that's like any wide receiver. But what people really are starting to say is that Diggs has no room to talk because he's the wide receiver and he's just, he wants to make a say of the offense. Personally, I don't think that's a bad thing because he's the best receiver the Bills clearly have. So it's like, let him be involved. He's on the team for a reason. Everybody should have a say. But I feel like if there's too much of a say, then there's going to be problems going forward.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, and arguably, Diggs is one of the probably like top 5-6 wide receivers in the entire league. So he should be able to have some say on the offense. And he's going to see things differently than what the OC is going to see. And he may see things differently than what Josh Allen's going to see. But we know Josh Allen and Diggs will connect together because they've proven that. So I think it's one of those, give Diggs some say in the offense. If he sees a way that he can burn somebody, burn a corner, by all means, torch him.
Yeah, I could see where Diggs is coming from. He's the best receiver on the team. Not that it means anything because anybody could say, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. But you have to take it into account with Stephon Diggs. He's number one, he's a great receiver. Number two, he has a different perspective because he's always asking for the ball. And it's not a bad thing. But the other thing, too, I've heard is that he's pissed off at Brandon Beane for not getting DeAndre Hopkins. And I'm saying to myself, I find that very hard to believe because the Bills are in a cap strap situation and they're trying to restructure some contracts and make room, which is understandable.
Right.
But you can't be throwing a storm just because you didn't get a player that the Bills were very high on.
Right. Now, in all fairness, I mean, yes, Diggs did restructure his contract, so it did free up some money for the Bills. But nobody's gotten Hopkins yet.
Nobody has. And crazier yet.
That's right.
Yeah, nobody got Alvin Cook either. So,
right. He's still out there. Nobody picked up Zeke. He's still out there.
Yeah, nobody picked up Leonard Fournette either. So
Yeah.
So wide receivers and running backs in their 30s are starting to become antiquated, if that's the right word to use, because the issue with these guys, especially guys like DeAndre Hopkins, he's demanding too much money. Right. That's what's killing his value. Is he's demanding the moon, and he wants a long-term deal at 31 years old to be paid as if he's still 25 years old.
Yeah, it's not realistic. Straight up. I mean, for Zeke, all the punishment he's taken in Dallas, there's no way any team would be wanting to give him as much money as he'd be looking for. I totally see why Jerry Jones cut him, and that's actually one of the very few things I actually agree with Jerry Jones on was cutting Zeke, because you have a great running back in Pollard who's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper, and he doesn't get banged up as much.
And you also have Deuce Vaughn, I believe his name is, to be the backup to Tony Pollard.
So they're fine with their running backs. I mean, they're not in a bad situation there, and they actually utilize their run game. So Pollard's going to get some great touches.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. There's not a lot of speculation what's being said about the Bills because a lot of people think Diggs wants out and he wants to be traded. And I'm just like, Diggs is not going to get traded. I'm not even worried about that. If people start to speculate, oh, he's going to Denver or he's going to Dallas, he's not leaving. He's under a contract. Right. Unless you want to give up like 3 first-round picks, be my guest. But other than that, the Bills are not going to cut him or they're going to trade him because no matter what they do, they have to take on dead cap, and the Bills can't afford it.
Yeah,
they can't afford anybody if they do that.
Right.
And the other thing too I want to mention is a lot of people are saying this is make it or break it for the Bills this year, and I'm like, what are they talking about? Josh Allen is like 27.
He's not even in his prime yet.
That's what I don't understand. And people say, "Oh, Buffalo, this is it. I'm like, why? Because, why? Because Jacksonville's coming up. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not worried about Jacksonville, honestly.
Neither.
Yeah, it is. I mean, sure, they picked up Trevor Lawrence. Sure, they actually have some decent wide receivers now, but they're not a fully they don't have the depth like a Bills would have or KC would have. Or Philly. Actually, Philly's probably the most stacked team out of anything in the entire league right now.
I wouldn't be surprised they won the Super Bowl.
Jacksonville does not have the depth, and they don't have, they're not where the Bills would be.
Far from it. That's why I'm like, and you know what's really pathetic? I read an article, or I saw a headline that said, are the Bills going to be suffering the same fate as the Rams?
No.
How did that even come to the conclusion? How are the Bills compared to the Rams? The Rams
just got lucky.
The Rams are traded away first-round picks like candy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, thank you, Rams, for giving us Von Miller.
And Taylor Rapp and a bunch of other players.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks, L.A.
Yeah, you go from winning the Super Bowl to absolutely being irrelevant in the following season.
Was it worth it?
No.
I mean, to be fair, they did win a Super Bowl.
Right, and then they put themselves in cap hell afterwards and did absolutely nothing.
So, I don't understand the comparison of the Rams. I seriously don't. Because the Bills, I think, have just a little under $5 million in cap. So, I really don't understand the comparison with them and the Rams because the Bills haven't won the Super Bowl. And I understand Josh Allen's been on the team for 5 years, but it's like the Bills are nowhere near the level because there's they're under the most pressure. I think the only people putting the Bills under the pressure is the media. The media is the only the media is cancer in sports, in politics, or anything you can read up on. They're they make up this fake narrative about an organization that has no inclusion. They're like, oh, this is the most depth team the Bills have, the deepest team that Brandon Beans had. Oh, is this it? Is the Bills going to finally win the Super Bowl? I'm like, okay, if they at least make the Super Bowl, I'll be happy, but I want to really win one. But will the Bills win the Super Bowl with Josh Allen? Yes, I still believe that.
Yeah, I think it will happen at some point. And we all have to remember, even back when Jim Kelly was on the team, he didn't really come into his prime until his 6th or 7th year in the league. So QBs take a while to develop. I mean, shit, even Aaron Rodgers didn't win until 5+ years in the league in terms of getting a Super Bowl title. I mean, Brett Favre, he was another one that didn't win until several years into the league. Unless you're Tom Brady, who just a lot of people will say he's the greatest of all time. Cheatgate, but Deflategate. But
yeah, but what about Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning was a great QB, and even then, even Peyton Manning didn't win his first Super Bowl until several years in. And it took a coaching change to get Tony Dungy to make it happen.
Right.
But my question is, if the Bills don't, they'll make the playoffs, but do you think that if they don't get past the second round with McDermott, do you think his seat starts to get warm?
No. I don't think McDermott's on the hot seat. At least for the time being.
I don't either, no.
Because, A, he handpicked Brandon Beane as his GM, so of course we know them two get along. So basically what would happen if there were to be anything that comes up, I mean, both Beane and McDermott would be fired, but I don't see that happening because the Bills have been very competitive ever since them two came into the team. And who knew of Sean McDermott beforehand? He was not like the sexy pick of a coach. But he came in, he's been very effective. He took a team that didn't go to the playoffs for 17 years, got him in the playoffs his first season. He's only had one season in his entire tenure here with the Bills that he didn't make the playoffs, and that was year 2.
Yeah, when Josh Allen was a rookie.
Right. And even then, they came back and won a bunch of games in the back end to still have like a 6-10 record. But ever since then, it's been playoffs every single year. And they came very close to winning the AFC on a couple of occasions.
In most Super Bowl windows in the NFL, I understand the usual is 5 to 7 years, but some teams do it for within 10 to 15, especially if you know how to draft. If you know how to draft good players, your window to success is going to be very long if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And,
big time.
And I think that's what they're doing here, because there's been a lot more hits than misses from the drafting that we've done ever since Bean has come into being the GM.
Well, I think to use the Steelers, for example, Pittsburgh is a team with tradition. And with Kenny Pickett at the helm, Rob may disagree with me, and that's perfectly okay, or he might adjust something to it. Pittsburgh is going to be a Super Bowl contender, not this coming year, but within the next 2. And it's going to be because Kenny Pickett and George Pickens themselves are going to be the 1-2 punch in the AFC North. Hell, I'll even go as far as say I think they're going to have more wins in the playoffs in 5 seasons than Joe Burrow.
If they get a new coaching staff, sure.
Well,
maybe.
They need to fix
But
that
I have
defense.
no faith. I have no faith in this coaching staff.
Maybe right now, no. But in general, what about the players?
No, I'm still not sold on Pickett, honestly.
Well, what if he turns into like a Josh Allen, where he was very raw in like the first 2 years, and then he just becomes a Pro Bowl quarterback in the 3rd year?
Hey, that'd be great. Prove me wrong. I'm all for that.
The other thing, too, I look at Pittsburgh, they got to get younger on that defense, because they have been letting that go for a long time now. And Pittsburgh's known they have good defenses, and that's usually what covers up anything on the offense. But
right, they usually draft
they had
well.
Roethlisberger for all those years, and he bailed that offense out so many times, more than we could count.
He really did.
Just with how he could play. But they don't have that anymore. It's just, that's how it is. So, I mean, really, if I'm the coaching staff for Pittsburgh, I mean, I want to shore up that defense ASAP and get some younger players in there. I mean, they've got to shore that up, because really what has to happen, they've got to give Pickett every single opportunity, especially his first couple years. They've got to give him the opportunity where he can be on the field as long as possible and make plays happen. And that'll come with time. And him and Pickett, I think, or Pickens, I mean, they're going to, I think, develop really well. And we saw a lot of that towards the end of last season. But they got to fix that defense. And knowing the Rooneys, they're not firing Tomlin anytime soon. So
unfortunately.
They never fire anybody.
No, they really don't. They'll slowly push them, or they'll slowly push him out of the team.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised Matt Canada didn't get the boot earlier either.
You and me both. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't get it.
I think the last time a Steelers coach got fired was Randy Fichtner, and that was, 2 years ago?
Oh, God. Why'd you have to bring him up?
Yeah. Rob, now you know what it feels like to have Leslie Frazier running the defense.
Oh,
oof.
Yeah, the guy that chokes in the playoffs in the last 3 or 4 seasons. At that point, I'm kind of glad McDermott took over the defense, but we'll see what happens. But he's going to make the Bills' defense a hell of a lot more aggressive than what Leslie Frazier did.
Thank God. Because remember that one play we were talking about earlier during the year is like, what was it, where they were like 15 yards off the line or something crazy?
Was it the playoff game against the Bengals?
Yeah. I'm like, how do you line up 15 yards off the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, that's bad.
How?
And not to mention, Jamar Chase was wide open.
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst was wide open.
There's like 3 open holes on the field.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I'm like, Leslie,
what are you doing?
Yeah, apparently there's a rumor going around that the reason why the reason why Leslie Frazier got relieved by the Bills on his own power and not but aggressively like any coach would was because Sean McDermott wanted to take over the defense, and Leslie Frazier said, "No, I'm running the defense." And there was also rumor that it was Sean McDermott's idea to go on the what's the fucking play
Hail
that
Murray?
they did? No, not the Hail Murray. The one against the Chiefs in the divisional round a couple years ago.
The 13-second play?
Yes, that one. That's what it was.
Don't remind me of that.
Yeah, that was apparently McDermott's idea. And I said to myself, I find that hard to believe because Leslie Frazier's a fucking moron. So for him to be gone, I think will really help the Bills defensively. But with McDermott running to both the defense and running the team as a whole, I think it will give him a better perspective. After all, this is Sean McDermott's team.
Right. Yeah, and we know McDermott can run some good defenses. I mean, he did that under Andy Reid. He was a great D coordinator.
Yeah, he was great under Ron Rivera, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're going to see the same here. He can do it, and I am glad he wants a more aggressive defense. We have to have that because let's look at Miami. They're getting stronger. The Jets actually will be getting stronger. Patriots,
the Jets hired a bunch of Green Bay degenerates. That's what
Yeah, exactly. But when you look at the top teams in the AFC, especially with Kansas City, I mean, Kansas City ended up losing some players in the offseason. I mean, McDermott getting even more aggressive on that defense, that's going to help out. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah. I think there will be a point in time where McDermott takes full control of the defense as a whole, and his time is coming. And I figured before Leslie Frazier got relieved, I said to myself, if Frazier were to leave by any means necessary, I think that McDermott should take over the play calling of the defense. And look where he is now. He's going to get possession. He's getting an opportunity to prove his point. If this defense underwhelms, McDermott's seat is going to get his seat is going to burn real quickly if they don't turn it around. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And I think we will see an improved defense this season. I mean, that's just my take on it. I think that'll happen. But what we'll do, let's go into our last topic since we only have a few minutes left. So for our last 5 minutes, the Oakland A's are going to be moving to Vegas.
The last of the Oakland teams.
And the funny thing is that Oakland's trying to do what they call the so-called reverse boycott now. Which isn't going to work because they only had less than 5,000 fans at one of their games earlier this season.
Yeah. You want to go first on this, Rob?
Yeah, I remember the game they were doing that with. It was against the Rays. And they actually did get a decent amount of people, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
The team was still sold, so...
Doesn't matter when their team has been asked for how many years and they don't invest and they give up all these first-round picks or trade, like, top-tier talent for absolutely, like, less than, like...
Matt Olson.
Yeah. For less than AAA, like, minor leaguers. It's like, oh, let's trade...
They're the Pirates.
Yeah. Oh, they're worse than the Pirates. I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought that. But,
right?
Yeah, the Pirates are actually having a pretty good season this year, but...
Not lately, but...
Right.
Yeah.
They're still over 500, but...
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that's because McCutcheon's back, but...
Yeah.
But Oakland, oh my God. If you're trading players for minor league, like, single A, that's pathetic.
Well, I think to the A's defense, it's not the fans' fault, because that's one of the most loyal fan bases in all of baseball. No question about it.
Ownership.
It's more on John Fisher. He's a massive
He's a
piece
dumbass.
of shit. Not only that, but he's pretty much... He's like a vampire. He's just sucking the blood out of the neck of that city, and he's trying to get every last drop until they die and they go into a cold state of death. So, for me, I think, yes, the A's need a new stadium, but the problem is the Raiders already moved out, and the Athletics are going to be moving out there soon. And the unfortunate part about the reverse boycott is they may have sold, 27,000 plus seats, but it doesn't change anything because the Nevada lawmakers have already approved the move to Las Vegas. That's done. The only thing now that has to go through is the ownership. If they say yes to Las Vegas, which I expect them to, they're going to say yes, and the A's are going to move to Las Vegas by 2025 at most. And they'll get a brand new state-of-the-art arena and all that bullshit. But I do think though that I really hope they do turn down the offer for Las Vegas and keep the team in Oakland. But the problem is there's not enough land. They have too many problems, and their education system has been horrendous. So the city of Oakland as a whole is a shithole. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something very special about the Oakland Coliseum, and I know it's antiquated, updated, not even close to renovated at this point. They need that stadium, but the Athletics, without a deal, they're moving, and Las Vegas is looking like the greener side of this deal, unfortunately. And then things get interesting from there, because not only for the game of baseball, for the fact that the A's are going to be moving to Las Vegas, there's talks of expansion, specifically to Nashville. They're talking about putting a team in downtown Nashville in Major League Baseball. And apparently the name of the team is going to be called the Nashville Stars.
Okay. Well,
interesting.
The interesting thing is, I mean, Nashville, I mean, they support the Predators, which, I mean, they're a fun team to watch being down there.
And the Titans are a brand new stadium.
Yeah,
right.
And they had a new arena built for them, and then of course now the Tennessee Titans, they're getting a brand new dome stadium, so that's going to happen, and they'll be actually on the opposite side of the river from where they're at now. But that new stadium that they're going to build is going to be right near Bridgestone Arena, right where the Preds play. So it's
perfect.
So that's going to be really cool for that area. And I've been to Nashville several times. I have family that lives there, so. Being outside of Bridgestone, I know my uncle's a season ticket holder for the Preds every year, ever since they first came up, and I would love to see a game down there in person, actually. But they've actually they do get a lot of support for their minor league baseball team too. So I could see MLB doing well there. Honestly, if they're going to add like one or two teams, I would have no problem with it going to Nashville. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
same here.
Yeah, and the other issue too, aside from the Athletics, is the Rays. They've been trying to work out a deal about getting a new stadium in Tampa Bay, or the worst outcome would be for the Rays is to move north to Orlando at most. There's been investors of where the Rays could play, whether it's in Tampa Bay if they could strike a deal, and then Orlando is being brought up as a possible destination.
Yeah, they're trying to steal the Rays from Tampa because. Apparently, the founder of the Orlando Magic is trying to put in $1.7 billion to move the team. So, I mean, it's not a huge move. It's only like an hour east, but at the same time, the Rays did unveil a new plan for a ballpark right near Tropicana Field, and there would be a lot of redevelopment as part of it. I mean, Tropicana Field sucks. I've been near there before, so
yeah, I have as well.
Up, it's like one of the worst like baseball parks in all of Major League Baseball, except for probably the Oakland Coliseum at this point, and maybe where the Angels play, but
yeah, I forget the name of that park. But
yeah, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Just call them the California Angels and be done with it, like it used to be,
or just move them.
Yeah, or that.
Where are you going to move the Angels? I mean, they're in Anaheim, but Artie Moreno wanted to move them to L.A., but how are you going to do that? You already have the Dodgers, and I can tell you right now, they are not willing to share with the Angels.
Well,
doesn't San Diego want a team? Oh, wait, they have... No, that's a different sport. My bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, they used to.
Oh, that's hockey,
they're called the L.A. Chargers now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking hockey.
Yeah, that could
San Diego wants
happen.
a hockey team.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of, my bad.
Yeah, but no, I don't see LA doing another stadium. I mean, they already built SoFi, which actually that was like almost $6 billion in private money, but they're building the Intuit Dome for the LA Clippers, which of course the guy who owns SoFi is building that. So
go figure.
But then MSG tried to sue them from not building a basketball arena because of like some weird ass non-compete thing or whatever it is. So basically, what happened is the Rams owner like, well, simple, I'll just buy it from you. Okay, here you go. So
cool. Now I can do my thing.
Solved.
See ya.
Here's a few million. Here you go. Now get out of my sight and let me build my arena. So that's how it happened. But
yeah, I don't know. It feels like the landscape in sports is changing drastically when it comes to relocation and expansion. Because the NBA has been talking about doing expansion for a handful of years. Like they were talking about Las Vegas, they were talking about Seattle, they were talking about Nashville again. San Diego, they were talking about. Same with the NHL. They want to expand to San Diego.
Yeah. NBA's been looking at Mexico City even, so.
Yeah, and then Major League Baseball, they want to do Nashville as the top tier team to get an expansion team and then move the Athletics to Las Vegas, which is already confirmed, but it's just down to the owners. But at that point, it feels like the landscape as a whole, we're shifting away from the whole traditional 30-team balance or the even number balance. I think we're getting away from that very drastically. So I think in the next 20 years, we're going to see maybe 40 teams in the NHL. And then, the NFL, I don't think is going to expand. I think they're done. And
I think they're fine, yeah.
The NFL doesn't need to change.
They already have 32 teams, so.
And plus, if they're going to do anything, teams are going to have to relocate. But outside of that, though, basketball, they're going to expand. Major League Baseball is going to be expanding because I've talked about it numerous times now about Nashville. And then the Athletics are going to be moving to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of movement going on in the land of baseball, particularly because of the NHL's idea of putting a team in Seattle, putting a team in Las Vegas, and it's worked out favorably for the NHL. So everyone's like, let's just copy what the NHL did and putting the Golden Knights there and then completely just revamping their homework.
Yeah, and who would have thought Vegas would have, let's see, the Golden Knights, the Raiders, the soon-to-be Athletics, and possibly an NBA team. Who would have thought that? And Vegas has a minor league hockey team now, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Henderson Silver Knights.
Yeah. Yeah, Henderson's only like 15 minutes outside of Vegas. I've been to Henderson before. So
it's not bad.
Actually, my dad and stepmom lived in Vegas for over 15 years, so
that's not bad at all. But you know what's even more pathetic is I heard that, and one more thing before we all go, is that I've actually heard a rumor that if the NBA were to do an expansion team in Las Vegas, they were looking to build them a brand new stadium for that expansion team in the NBA in Las Vegas. I'm like, why? Just keep T-Mobile Arena. It just got...
It's more than
capable. For real.
T-Mobile Arena is not even 10 years old yet, so...
No.
Yeah, exactly.
They've played basketball in there, so they've... Yeah, there's no reason to go back for it.
There is no excuse to not put an expansion team in basketball at T-Mobile Arena. The Golden Knights clearly own that right. That's their doing. That's their place. But it's more of why would you want to build another stadium in Las Vegas for an expansion team?
Yeah, I don't think they would approve another building for that, especially when they already have T-Mobile Arena that can seat over 18,500 for basketball, So, and they can make it work, too. I mean, granted, I'm not an archaeologist, but it's more of just, You're not a dirt digger? I think you meant you're not an architect.
I'm Dirty Dan.
Not a gold digger.
I'm a dumbass.
But no, T-Mobile's more than capable of handling basketball, and they've had basketball games in there, so... They don't have to renovate anything except for just put it in an NBA dressing room, and that's it.
That's really it. There's no real change to it.
I mean, everything else is all current.
Plus, they have that nice shiny banner that just got lifted up to T-Mobile in October.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, tech-wise, T-Mobile is one of the most advanced arenas in the league, so they're fine. They could easily use it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about T-Mobile. Just use T-Mobile. There's no excuse to not put it in another arena in Las Vegas. Just put them in T-Mobile.
When they were talking about having a retractable roof on that arena, and I'm like, why? It's 115 degrees in the damn desert 90% of the year.
You're not getting rain all the time.
It's not going to happen. I'm not worried about that.
Right. I mean, God, even Allegiant Stadium doesn't even have a retractable roof because it's so damn hot in the desert, so...
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what the fuck? What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, and even the A's new stadium is going to have a dome on it, so...
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, my dad worked there for a long time out in the desert. He's like, and that's the big reason why UNLV plays their games at Allegiant Stadium now, because... A, their old stadium, the Sam Boyd Silver Bowl, was outdated, and B, they didn't want to be playing in 100-plus degree heat. Remember when the Arizona Cardinals played at Sun Devil and they would bake every single game? I mean, you don't want that.
Yeah, they got frozen to a crisp.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that's what it is. But no, it'll be interesting to see what happens over there. So with that being said, I was going to say, that was a quick hour or so. Anyone have any other comments or anything they want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I'm good.
I'm good as well.
All right, cool. Well, what we'll do, we only have a couple more shows left this season. We are actually going to have our Fan Hall of Fame, our first ever, coming up in the next few weeks. So we already know who that's going to be. So we'll hopefully have them on once that comes up. But really, besides that, not much else going on. So of course, we appreciate you guys being on as always. And of course, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.